Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Brandon and Ryan Hour. I'm Brandon,
And I'm Ryan.
and it is Monday movie review day. You excited, Ryan?
Woohoo. Yay, Monday movie review day. Yeah, and today we are reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that just came out. What? Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that just came out.
yeah. I was just
Okay.
doing three, and you're like, what? Anyway, so if you are new to the channel, we have both watched this movie, and we're going to talk about it in detail. So if you haven't watched it and you don't like spoilers, come back later, because there be spoilers. Well,
Well, it's a movie
it is a movie.
that continues the adventures of Star-Lord, Rocket, Mantis, Drax, Nebula, because apparently Nebula is on the Guardians now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hence
Groot.
the Infinity War stuff.
Okay.
She was helping, right? Wasn't she helping during
Yeah,
the blip? Yeah, she helped save
sure.
Iron Man,
Yeah.
and she helped out during the blip.
Okay.
So yeah, she's a Guardian of the Galaxy and an Avenger.
Okay.
It's cool to be a part of two groups.
If you say so.
It's like, being on an NBA team and then going to the Olympics.
I guess that makes sense, yeah. I like the analogy. Good job.
All right.
So yeah,
So, initial
I did
thoughts?
I did enjoy the movie. I had fun with it. I don't think it was as good as the first one, but this one was I think it was better than 2. I don't think I liked 2 very much. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember feeling like they dropped the bar on that one.
Oh, I watched the second one on Saturday, and yeah, I think 1 was really good, 2 was okay, and then this one. So, what would you give it a score?
Uh I'd give it like an 8.2.
8.2.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was thinking 8.7.
Okay.
Like I was like, should this get a 9? I was like, I don't know. Have we done many 9s? I don't know. I feel like I'm also like trying to like avoid giving out 9s for some reason.
Right.
I don't know why. Now that I'm saying that, I kind of want to give it a 9. I don't know. We'll stick with 8.7.
8.7. All right. So yeah,
So,
it's what? So yeah, it opens with a part of Rocket's backstory. It was very Rocket heavy as far as
it
the
was
story beats go.
his story all along. You were saying?
I said it was a very heavy Rocket
Oh, okay.
plot
That was the
point
end of your
based
sentence?
story. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was centered around Rocket and his backstory and his basically his origin story. And which I don't know. It was actually a good origin story movie because his origin story isn't heavily saturated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an origin story that you haven't heard before unless you've read the comic books extensively, probably.
Yeah, probably.
So that's kind of nice. to have a unique origin story.
Yeah, so a lot of plot points were based off that, a lot of his backstory, but then it jumped back and forth between his backstory and what the Guardians were doing right then, like in the present time.
Yeah.
And it was really well done and woven in and out together.
Yeah, the flashbacks into the current timeline, current moment, I guess.
Yeah.
The current setting of the movie versus the Rocket's origin story, like it did a really good job of weaving that thread, which is nice. Because I don't know. So I feel like this. I titled it "An End of an Era," and I feel like that's what this movie was. It's definitely an emotional roller coaster.
Okay.
But in a good way, not like stupidly, right? Oh no, what get out of there. I mean, it starts off with, you know, Quill being drunk for, missing Gamora, and then it just gets right into the Rocket almost dying, and then them trying to save him. And they bring back a lot of the characters that haven't died from all the previous movies. There's a lot of character building for a third movie, and for a third and final movie, there's a lot of character building, which you don't normally get. You just get an action movie with some character stuff in it. But that's not what this was at all. I think it definitely, well, so yeah, I don't know. There was so much going on in this movie. I don't know where to start. I like.
Yeah, so I mean, the movie opens with a little bit of Rocket's backstory, him being chosen by the High Evolutionary, who's the bad guy in the movie, and then jumps to Peter Quill dealing with his emotions, and the Guardians having to take care of him again because apparently this is an ongoing thing. And then Adam Warlock shows up and tries to kidnap Rocket and ends up mortally wounding him. So that's what kicks off the entire movie. So Rocket isn't really interacting with the Guardians the entire movie. We get to see him interacting with characters in his past.
Yeah, for the first and second act, it's mostly him in the past, and it's the Guardians trying to save him.
Yeah. And I mean, they finally introduced Adam Warlock, which they teased, I guess, at the end of last movie.
At the end of the second one, yeah.
Yeah. But then we had seen the Guardians multiple times since then. And no mention of Adam Warlock, and now they finally bring him in and made him a bit of a buffoon. So.
Okay. I don't know. I guess. I wouldn't call him a buffoon. I don't know. It just seems a little weird, but.
No, he was definitely a buffoon. He was definitely an idiot most of the movie.
Okay.
Okay.
He was like 6 years old, technically.
Okay, that's not how he is in the comic books. That's all I'm saying.
This isn't the comic book, Ryan.
I understand that. It's based off of a comic book property.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so the warlock shows up, gets stabbed. Then they set off to find out how to stop Rocket from dying because he has a code that won't let him be jacked with.
Yeah.
Which seems odd that it's taken this long for all the stuff that he's been through for that to come up, but I don't know, maybe they just use traditional, needle and thread to sew him up before.
Yeah, or maybe he hasn't ever really gotten that hurt before.
I guess. Anyway. So let's see. Yeah. So they go to that weird eyeball flesh spaceship thing. That was kind of weird.
That was weird.
Yeah, it's kind of super weird. Anyway. And then they commence with their usual shenaniganry, breaking things and causing problems. I do have to say, like, the dynamic between the characters was still good, and now that there's more characters too than the first one for sure.
Yep.
And the second one. Well, no, I guess Nebula was there in the second one too. She was just trying to kill Gamora the whole time.
No, because she tried to kill her in the first one. No, she was trying to kill her in the second one. You're right.
I know. I just said I watched it on Saturday.
Okay, great. And I'm just letting you know that you are correct.
Because I was like, what happened in the second one again? And then I started watching it and I was like, oh yeah. And I was like, is this even going to matter though? Because it's been like however many years since this one because of the Infinity War stuff.
Yeah, so Gamora meets them back at the giant fleshy eyeball place to help them break in.
Yeah, she's with the Ravengers now, and it seems, I don't know, I guess, whatever. I guess that's fine. Didn't bother me. Just seemed kind of convenient.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a way to bring her back in.
Yeah, way to bring them and the Ravengers back in, that's all it was. Which I didn't mind. It was nice. Yeah, so she's helping them steal the code from the, what was it? The Orgo?
Yeah, something like that.
Corporation or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, it was a very fun interaction between her and Peter Quill, because he's still obviously in love with her, and she's like, "I don't know who you are. Leave me alone." So that was a fun back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but it's also not fun at the same time, because in this, the audience has seen the second movie, and they know that they were in love, and then that the one that he actually loved died, and this one is from right when before they first met.
Right.
Yeah. So that kind of sucks for him. The hero got the girl died. Then a new similar girl shows up that he doesn't get.
Yep.
He's also trying to force a relationship on her that she didn't have, instead of trying to redo the relationship he had with Gamora the first time.
Right. He's just trying to jump back to where they were.
Yeah. Which can't do that from somebody from the past. Um,
Yeah, but then in the giant fleshy place, we get to see Nathan Fillion, one of my favorite actors, show up for the second time in a Guardians movie.
yeah, he was in the first one.
Yeah, he was in the first one as one of the voices of one of the heavily CGI or prosthetics bad guys at the prison they were in.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, that's right. I remember now.
Yeah, so this one you get to see him in a giant suit trying to stop the Guardians, which was fun. He always brightens the screen when he's there. He's got a good on-screen presence.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't know why you like him so much. It's kind of weird.
he's a great actor.
If you say so.
Okay,
I haven't seen him in much. I've never seen
okay.
him in anything where he's a starring role.
Have you never watched Castle or
Nope.
Firefly?
Nope.
Wow, you suck as a nerd.
No. No. How is Castle nerdy?
I was referring to the Firefly portion
Why am I going to waste my time on something that got canceled?
because it's still a great show.
Mm.
And there was a follow-up movie that ended the series.
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm going to watch something, it's got to be worth my time.
It is, if you
Therefore,
would
it needs to
ever
take up a
just give
lot
it
of
a
it.
chance. Do what?
I said, and therefore, it needs to take up a lot of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, he was there. So I guess I liked the comedy in this movie. I don't know.
Yeah, it
It
wasn't
wasn't like
as
Thor
forced as it
comedy.
was. What?
It's not like the comedy in Thor.
Right.
It's I don't know.
Like it
I don't
wasn't forced. It was earned. They didn't try to have a serious moment and then as soon as the serious moment happened, oh, now we need comedy to cut the
right.
tension.
Yeah.
When
Like
comedy happened, it was earned.
yeah, and like the conversation that he was having with his dumb guy. He was like he said some kind of part, engine part, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just made that up." Like they're just having a casual conversation, and we just show up at a casual conversation, and he's like, "You're dumb." And then they always have to make fun of Drax because he's Drax and he does and says dumb things. That's why, like, I don't know, like with Drax, he is kind of like he's the comic relief, but he's not. You don't look at him like he's the bumbling idiot who just is just there for the comic relief.
Right.
Yeah. Which, so the writing and the acting is both really good. Takes both, obviously. Okay, moving on. Um,
Okay.
I don't
What are you
remember
wanting
what
to move
happened
on
after
to?
that. What happened
You
after that?
don't need to talk when I'm talking. I don't think you understand how this works. I can't hear you when I'm talking.
Then don't talk so loud.
What did you say?
I don't know. I said, what happened next?
Yeah, so they get the files from Orgo Corp or wherever
Mm,
and realize that
it
the
doesn't
pass
work.
key that they needed to deactivate whatever was stopping Rocket from being healed
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
was missing.
What did you think about the the High Evolutionary and all of his garbage.
What do you mean?
I don't know, like as a bad guy, as yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know that much about the High Evolutionary from the comics. Like I'd never paid attention to anything he was in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought it was an interesting story. He's trying to make a perfect society with perfect beings, and keeps failing and does morally dubious things to try to reach his goal. So I thought he was played well,
Yeah,
and
the
what he
actor
was
is
doing
pretty good.
what he did made sense with the motivations they gave the character.
Yeah. It also seemed like he might have been, I don't know. Like they didn't go into it much, but they made it seem like he was, incredibly, intelligent, like
Hmm.
intelligence beyond anyone else, but also that he was incredibly disturbed. Like there was something wrong with him.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely very narcissistic because
Well, not just narcissism, but
he thought he
like,
was smarter than everyone else.
yeah, right, but not just narcissism though. Like it just some of the things they did, it kind of seemed like there's something else, even before he got his face all jacked up.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, what about the purple thing? The purple is just starting to piss me off.
The purple thing. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Why are all of the bad guys freaking purple?
I don't know. I didn't notice.
What do you mean you didn't notice?
I didn't notice. Like, yeah, watching the movie, that's not something I took note of.
You didn't take note of his purple clothes and when he glowed purple?
I mean, I saw his purple clothes, but I didn't think anything of it.
Okay. Doesn't
Okay.
bother you that they make all the bad guys purple? Or most of them?
It's not something I really paid attention to, so no, it hasn't bothered me.
Have you not paid attention to it?
I'm not watching these shows to look at the fashion and try to
It's
make
not just the
determinations.
fashion though. Thanos, purple. This guy, purple. Kang, I think he's purple. They all have
King is blue.
I think they've got purple in his wardrobe.
Okay, in his wardrobe, yes. Well, purple is the standard bad guy color in comics. I mean, you got the Joker. Like everybody in comic books that's bad wears purple. Well, not everybody, but you don't really see heroes wearing purple.
Right. I don't know. It's just annoying.
Why?
Mm, I don't know. It just annoys me. Because there's a billion colors. And they're not all purple.
Okay. Seems like you have a very weird connection with the color purple. You seem very defensive about this.
No. It just, I mean, if all of the good guys, you know, only wore red, that would get old.
All right.
Okay. All right. Um, so yeah, after they find that the code has been copied and deleted by one of the High Evolutionaries' minions, They head to what we find out is Counter Earth, where
Mm-hmm.
the High Evolutionary has created a civilization of animals who are humanoid.
Yeah.
That was also something that was kind of bothering me. Not bothering me, but I just thought it was weird. Is that everything he was creating was humanoid.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I'm gonna put this turtle through, a million years of evolutionary changes and blah blah blah, and it's gonna come out humanoid.
Yeah, because he was trying to have them reach their evolutionary potential.
Yeah. But how was every species evolutionary potential humanoid?
I don't know. That's just what happens.
And
Like,
like, why would you create a world? You create all of these creatures, you take all these animals, and you turn them into these humanoid creatures with thought and you know all that kind of stuff, right? Emotions, everything, speech, and then you put them in a city with 9 to 5 jobs, and what is that?
I have no idea.
His
But like he said he had visited Earth before,
mm-hmm.
so it looked like he was just trying to recreate an Earth type environment for some reason that wasn't explained.
Yeah, so like his so that's the thing that was kind of bothering me, is that he can create the sovereign, he can create these humanoid creatures, he creates those children that only need 30 calories a day and can run for 2 hours straight and not break a sweat. But his vision is so small that he can only recreate things he's seen. And the thing, every time he creates something, it's always worse than the original.
Mm-hmm.
So his vision is
Flawed.
garbage. Not just flawed, his vision is garbage.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
while we're seeing him go through trying to create these, that ties more into Rocket's backstory,
Mm-hmm.
where Rocket was kind of forced evolved with robotics thrown into, and you get to see him and his friends that were all animals with major
Cybernetics.
modifications. Yeah,
Yeah,
cybernetics. So you had what a walrus with wheelchair legs, robotic wheelchair legs.
some kind of wheels. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, some kind of wheels, and then
You had an otter with robot arms,
yeah,
and then an incredibly creepy rabbit.
the rabbit was super creepy. It took me a little bit to figure out that it was a rabbit because it had the thing on its face
A metal
and
thing
the
covering its
spider
face, and
legs.
then metallic spider legs. Yeah.
So it's really weird, super creepy.
Yeah, but then Rocket was able to help him figure out what was going wrong because when he did the turtle, it was super violent and aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
and he was trying to create perfect beings that were compliant.
Perfect beings that are compliant, which
Right.
seems antithetical.
And for whatever reason, Rocket was able to figure it out pretty quickly. That it was some kind of filtration thing where they were doing something wrong. And
Yeah,
that's why the High Evolutionary was so obsessed with Rocket because
he's
he
the
said
only
that
creature
no
that he ever made that
that had
had original
independent
thought.
thought. Right.
Yeah, and that was creative.
Right.
Yeah,
And yeah, we get to see Rocket from the very beginning picking up pieces of equipment so he can get out, basically.
that's why he always steals things,
Right.
because he may need it later to escape death,
Right.
which is interesting. But when he was there, he wasn't necessarily stealing so he could escape, but maybe he was,
Yeah, I
because he knew
mean,
something was off.
Yeah, everything he stole, all the pieces, he used to end up making a key so they could escape.
Right. And I guess you kind of see him because it doesn't really say how long he was there with the evolutionary, but you kind of see him grow up a little bit.
Yeah,
So he's there for some amount of time. It's not just a few days or anything.
right.
Yeah. Because he goes from just a little, baby raccoon to almost a full grown raccoon. I'm not a raccoon.
Yeah, it was interesting though how much they made you care about these modified animals.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for real. It's kind of strange. Well, and part of it, so this whole movie is kind of an emotional roller coaster because you have all the stuff coming in with Quill and Gamora and their relationship, and then and now Rocket is dying, and then you find out about his backstory and all of the evil things that happened to him. And then you also have all of the other side characters that you're seeing who've come back from the other movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Seeing them little bits and pieces here and there. And like the audience knows it's the last movie, and are they going to kill somebody? How's all that going to end? And then they did a really good job of with those four animals, making you care about them, which is kind of easy to do when you're torturing animals. You kind of instinctively care about tortured animals.
Yeah.
And the audience also knows that they're probably dead because we haven't heard or seen anything about them. So
Yeah, but even though they're technically throwaway characters, like they still invested time growing them, having them have individual personalities and hopes and dreams and whatnot.
Right. And then they name themselves, so then like you're attached that way. Like when you name an animal, you get that much more attached to it. But if you just, random squirrel running across the road, you care about it, but not that much. Right? But if you name that squirrel,
know what you're saying.
Yeah, so I think that was really smart to like give them names like that. And then juxtaposed to the high evolutionary being somewhat, he was like he was like had this faux caring about Rocket a little bit. And he was like teaching him some things, and then he was like, then he grabs his head in that one scene, and he's like squishing his head. And he's still talking nicely though.
Yeah,
and
but like, it's a clear picture of like an abusive parent. Like you rely on them, but you know the physical actions that they're doing aren't.
I don't know if I'd call it an abusive parent. I think more like a Stockholm syndrome kind of thing, maybe. Not really
I disagree with you.
parent.
Like he was raising him, teaching him, doing things that a parent would do, but then at the same time didn't care, obviously.
Right, because he's just using him, for his scientific research.
Yep.
So then they go to Counter Earth, and where do they go? They go to Counter Earth for
so they're looking for the guy who had the computer chip that had the passcode on it.
Yeah, the brain implant. computer brain implant. Um,
Then you get the scene inside the Bat People's house.
yeah, that was weird. Especially
I don't
the
know.
dad. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, no, we're not bringing some weirdo looking strangers in our house with our kids. He's definitely a beta.
Yeah. But Drax was hilarious, just
The
laying out
couch
on the
thing.
couch.
Oh gosh, the freaking couch thing was hilarious.
I don't know why I found that so funny.
I,
Like, that's what it's made for. No, it's not.
why is it oblong?
Uh,
They yelled at him like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And then he started to like close his eyes and like oh yeah, so they're trying to explain, but they don't speak whatever language they
that the animal people do, right?
yeah, they don't speak their language at all. So he's like, let me draw you. Okay. So he's like, let me draw you a picture of the guy we're looking for. So he draws this stupid little thing on a napkin, and you're like, okay, that's a drawing of a 6-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Moments ago, Nebula was showing a 3-dimensional image of Rocket.
Yeah.
Why
I didn't
couldn't she
understand that
show
at
the
all.
picture of
Like, that was one thing that irritated me when he started drawing. I was like, she can just do a hologram of the guy that you guys saw.
but
What
she
are you
was
doing?
but he was like, here, let me draw you a picture, and she was like, whatever. And then she just
Good
starts,
enough.
it was like she was like, all right, I'll just let you do it. I could do it, but I'm just gonna drink this. And then there's the line, right? He's drawing and she takes the drink and she's like, oh, this is sensational.
Yeah.
Like she's like, I don't know. You get the feeling that she knows she could do this, but she's like, whatever. I'm just gonna let him do a stupid thing. Which was hilarious. Yeah, so then I don't know how you don't figure out that you need to go to the weird looking pyramid thing because everything else looks normal and that kind of sticks out.
Obviously doesn't fit. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the design of the rest of the planet. But anyway, she tells them to go to the giant red pyramid thing. And then they borrow her car.
They didn't really borrow it. They
He
never
asked
returned
if
it.
that's
So.
your car. And they understood because the one guy, the husband was like, oh. That scene was funny. And I really, so it's PG-13, right? But they're kind of pushing the boundaries because there's a lot of the less important curse words.
Yeah.
And they use their one F-bomb very, very well. I didn't think they were going to use it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they're doing all these other words, or they're like, or they would cut words off, like you knew what he was saying, but they would cut it off like, a millisecond before he finished saying it, or whatever.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I was like, yes. And then explaining how to open a door like that, like,
yeah.
I feel like that's what it would be like explaining how to open that door to like, a 10-year-old now. Someone who's never seen a button and lock like that on a car.
Right.
Like push the button. Push
the button.
Push the button.
Okay. Now what?
Grab the hand. No, don't pull. That's not the button. That's the key.
Yeah.
Yeah. That whole scene was good. Open the effing door. Or no, what did he say?
No, she said, now what? And he said, I want you to get in the effing car. Because like she pushed the button and she said, okay, now what? And he said, I want you to get in the effing car.
I think he said open the effing door.
Okay, maybe. I could be wrong.
She had pushed in, and then he was like, now what? And then he was like, open the door. And then they had to argue about his instructions.
Yeah. And she's like, this is a horrible design. Okay.
And then he doesn't know how to drive because
he left Earth
reason.
when he was like 8. Yeah.
He could drive a spaceship. He can drive all kinds of spaceships, but he can't drive a car.
Apparently.
I mean, it was humorous, especially when he drove through the median or the yard. That was hilarious. He's just like, screw it. um. Yeah. Okay. So they go to the pyramid thing to find the guy with the
Mm-hmm.
thing in his head.
Right.
Um.
So it's him, Groot, and Nebula who go.
Yeah. Nebula. The weird. What were they called? The Hellspawn.
Yeah.
They were weird. They were kind of creepy looking, kind of gross. Like half
Okay.
pig. What was that? A pig and
No, that wasn't the Hellspawn. That was just random altered cybernetic pig and whatever the other thing was. The Hellspawn were something completely different later in the movie.
no, they were the same.
Yes.
There were different kinds of Hellspawn, but the Hellspawn were the pigs and the other creatures. Yes.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh,
You need to go back and rewatch it.
you know the lady who was talking to the High Evolutionary?
Yes.
Okay. So he's like, "You said we had him," and she's like, "Yes, but the Hellspawn," and then he cut her off.
Okay.
So he
I
was a
don't.
Hellspawn. Both of them were Hellspawn. Because they
If you
look,
say so. I don't think so,
I
but
do
okay.
say so. They were Hellspawn.
Okay, great. It's not that important. Really? You're gonna waste time doing that?
I'm not doing anything over here.
But yeah, so they get to the pyramid. Nebula isn't let in because she's got a gun built into her.
Oh
But
yeah, her
then,
new arm is cool.
yeah.
But
Yeah, so Star-Lord and Groot go inside, find out that the High Evolutionary is actually there. And that kicks off, I don't know,
which
what a
I
good
assumed
30-minute
anyway.
fight scene.
Oh yeah.
That kicked off what a good 30-minute fight scene.
No.
I mean, there were a couple breaks in it, but most of the rest of the movie was fighting.
Right. I mean, they fought in the pyramid, then they escaped, and then the planet was blowing up. Then a few, like 10 minutes later is when they start the final battle. That, well, yeah, I think that was the end of the second act when they cured Rocket, or not cured him, but like killed him. But then,
Yeah.
so it was a cool scene where him and Groot were Star-Lord and Groot were killing everybody.
Yeah, that was nice.
And then he jumped out of the pyramid, starts taking out. Okay, so they find out that the High Evolutionary is gonna destroy the planet because it didn't turn out like he thought it was gonna turn out. And there's like, I don't know. It was like when they were driving through the city, there's like graffiti everywhere and people beating people to death and kids buying drugs, cockroach kids buying drugs from squid men,
Yeah.
or whatever. So, so he's gonna blow it up, and then that also like pulls at you emotionally because this is an Earth, right? And it's populated with billions of creatures, probably.
Yeah, presumably, right?
presumably because he's copied it like Earth, and now he's just gonna destroy it all. So, and that's what he does. Ship takes off and he blows up the entire planet.
Yep.
Which kind of crazy because, like, at first you're like, okay, maybe the Guardians can stop them from doing that, but nope, it's already going. Which is, with that being such a huge thing, you wouldn't think that would happen, but James Gunn was like, yeah, we're gonna kill this whole planet. I liked it. It was a good story.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so Rocket gets healed up, and then they have to go back because Nebula, Drax, and who was the other person? Oh, Mantis. They were at the pyramid trying to get in.
even though they weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah. So when Star-Lord and Groot get out, they break in. So Star-Lord, Groot, and Rocket have to go back and help fight, and eat the giant space battle with Nowhere showing up.
Mm-hmm. Skipping ahead a little bit, but the scene with Rocket when he's dying, like that was, you're like, okay, are they gonna kill Rocket now or not? So you're kind of not sure where this is gonna go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole scene with the otter showing up, Lila,
Lila.
she called herself, yeah.
Yep.
She shows up and they have their, emotional reunion in Rocket's head. And the other two are off in the background, but you can hear them laughing or whatever. Nope. Okay. And then she says you can come with them.
Yeah.
And then you see, Star-Lord and Gamora like having issues trying to revive him and get the code to work and all that kind of stuff. And then he goes to walk in there and you're like, are they gonna kill him? Are they gonna kill him?
Right.
Good. They just destroyed a whole planet. They could kill Rocket now. Like at this point you think anything is possible.
Right.
Yeah. But then she stops him and says, but not yet. You can't come with us yet. So they wake him up. And they have their little emotional reunion. They're all sad. Because Star-Lord's second best friend was dying.
No, he said that Rocket was his best friend.
Yeah, but according to...
But Drax was like,
Drax,
nope, second best.
Every time he'd say second best. Love Drax's comments. Yeah. And Warlock has shown up and tried to take Rocket to the High Evolutionary because if not, the High Evolutionary is going to kill all of the Sovereign.
Right.
And then when the planet starts blowing up, Warlock or Adam goes to try to save his mom, and then he gets there
just a split second too late.
So that's another reason why we're, anything is possible, and anybody can die in this movie because they're killing so many people. And at this point in the movie, that you find out that Rocket's three friends die. So I don't know. I liked the stupid little dog thing that was funny. Anyway, the thing that Warlock took.
Oh yeah, that obviously wasn't a dog, but yeah.
I said dog thing. was
Okay.
alien thing.
Yeah, the pet that he ends up taking off the dead guy that he killed.
Yeah. Um, because he was trying to show him the business or whatever. I don't know. Whatever. That was funny. Anyway, so he ends up back on the Guardian's ship after his mom dies, and he's all jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
Nebula, no, Gamora like restrains him or whatever. So Rocket gets well. Then they have to go to the High Evolutionary ship to rescue Mantis, Drax, Nebula,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently a whole bunch of kids because he's off to populate another planet with
Right.
his creations. But he has to get Rocket so that he can get his brain, so he can study it, so he can make his creatures
More creative.
more creative. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, eh. What?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. You don't have anything to say about that?
No, I mean there's a giant battle. And yeah, so they say that they have to save all the sentient beings, and they're able to get all the kids onto nowhere. And they're like, "Hey, where's Rocket?" And Rocket is
You're like skipping through a whole bunch of stuff.
it's okay. We don't have to cover every single plot
Well,
point.
right, but I want to cover the main things.
We have.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway. Yeah, so they get on the ship to rescue them. And then they just show up right where they come in. And they're like, all right, well, we rescued you. Time to go. But then they find out there's kids on the ship. And then Rocket's like, let's freaking go. And really, Gamora was the only one who didn't want to go. Because she's still a jerk. Yeah, so that's where the final battle scene really starts. And then it's very reminiscent. I can talk. Of the first movie when they had their big battle scene, because they're going down the corridor, killing all the weird creatures and stuff.
Okay.
I like how he used the weird creatures to have gore, but because it wasn't human blood, it was able to do that. But every time they did something to a human, there was never any blood.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, way to skirt the rules. Then we see the High Evolutionary getting. Or they try to stage a mutiny or something
Uh-huh.
to stop him, which I thought was weird because I don't know. I guess I was under the impression that they were part of his creations or under his power or something in some way because he was in charge of everything. But I guess
Yeah, I mean they obviously worked for him, but he was going to have them get them all killed by staying there instead of running like they should have done.
yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. I thought it was strange that they would all turn on him that quickly. And then he did like giant rage monster thing and exploded the room
Mm-hmm.
somehow. I mean, it was cool, but um, all right. So I don't know why Nowhere had to show up.
To blow a giant hole in the thing,
Yeah, it
obviously.
seemed a little
And
risky though,
okay,
because it's populated with a whole bunch of civilians and kids and things like that.
okay,
Okay. I don't know. And they should definitely get some more rockets or ordnance for the giant eye gun.
right.
Uh, anyway, yeah, so they save all the kids, and then Rocket finds a crate full of baby raccoons. Then he finds out he actually is a raccoon,
Right.
even
After he's
though,
been telling everybody for 2 movies that he's not, well, 2.5.
yeah, and everybody has been telling him he is,
Mm-hmm.
well, amongst other things, but mostly they call him a raccoon,
Right.
and he's been adamant that he's not. And then the High Evolutionary shows up, and they have their boss battle.
Yeah. Final standoff with him. Or
Um,
beat down.
yeah, they beat the crap out of him, and then he's like, "I'm Rocket Raccoon," and then goes in on him, and then they all show up and get their licks in, and
Mm-hmm.
Gamora stabs him. Um, but
Yeah,
then
and
Rocket
then
doesn't.
Rocket decides not to kill him
Yeah,
for some reason, but then they leave him on the spaceship that explodes anyway.
well, he wasn't gonna shoot him in the face
Why not?
because that's murder.
Yeah, he
No,
just blew up an entire planet full of people.
I get it. Yeah, I'm with you. If he'd have shot him and killed him, I wouldn't have cared.
Right.
But I think it was to just, I don't know, to try to show that they're more compassionate and they have compassion because they've also saved Warlock and um you know, all kinds of stuff. But I think that's all it was just try to show a contrast so that nobody would have any reason to hold anything against Rocket because Rocket would have had every reason to kill that guy,
Uh-huh.
but he didn't. I'm not gonna kill him. Going to let space do that.
Right.
Which is funny.
Yeah, then they've got to race off the spaceship because Cosmo was holding everything together, the two spacecraft together.
Yeah,
And I really enjoyed Cosmo. Like,
I
they
like
teased
Cosmo.
Cosmo in the first movie and then
Yeah.
actually gave Cosmo screen time in character in this one, which was nice.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I like that, especially with the other guy whose name I can never remember.
Kraglin.
Kraglin.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Kraglin. All right. I'm not gonna remember that.
All right.
I don't know why, but I can never keep that in my head. Anyway. Yeah, so their whole back and forth the whole time about the bad dog thing was freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, so they're
and
all
then
having to race off the spaceship to get onto
Mhm.
nowhere so they don't die. And this is another thing that irritated me.
Hmm.
Like, everybody gets over to the ship without issue. Peter Quill has to save his stupid music box.
His Zune, man. Come on, it's a Zune.
Whatever, music box. The two things start drifting away. He jumps to try to make it, and he doesn't put on his freaking Star-Lord helmet that he's used before that lets him breathe in space. What the crap happened to that?
That's a good question. For some reason, I didn't think about that. Yeah, why didn't he turn his helmet on? That's
because he's
weird.
used it multiple times to breathe in space.
Yeah, he has.
But in this movie, for some reason, they just ignored it.
Like he forgot. Oh, I'm gonna forget to turn my helmet on.
Yeah,
That is weird. Did he even use the helmet that much in the movie?
not in this movie, not at all.
Yeah, I can't think of a single time he had it on.
Not in this movie.
Maybe he doesn't have it anymore?
That doesn't make any sense. Like, that's iconic Star Lord. You'd
Yeah.
think if he didn't have it anymore, he'd go get a replacement for it.
Or yeah, have something. Because he's used it a lot. In every other battle he's been in, he always uses the helmet. He
Yeah,
takes it off and on throughout to talk, even though he can talk with it on. But still, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
yeah. As he was flying through space, I was like, just turn on your freaking helmet. Just,
Right?
just put it down. You'll be okay if you do that. And
I
nothing.
Yeah. So then, like, he hits the debris and he stops floating, and then he freezes, and then Groot tries to save him, and you're like, "Oh no, are they gonna kill Star Lord?"
Yeah,
But and then his face like explodes,
yeah.
and then you're like, "That's not good. He's dead now." But
But
then
then Adam Warlock
Warlock,
saves him.
yeah, he saves him. They do the whole Adam thing with the finger, like the the freaking
Yeah,
ceiling painting.
Sistine Chapel,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah. That's it. I was like, all right. Instead of an apple, he's got a Zune.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he brings him to the ship, and then he unthaws and
Is fine.
relatively fine, even though he
His
froze to
face
death.
is all jacked up. Yeah.
His face like exploded. Like I don't. That was weird. I didn't. Yeah. Like okay, we'll just. I guess he is part God. So maybe. I
Maybe.
guess. I don't know how that works now with Ego
But
being
his dad
dead,
died. Yeah.
but his genetics wouldn't have changed.
Right, but he lost connection to the power of ego.
But he only had that blue flame power when he was on the planet. He still held the Infinity Stone,
Yeah, that's fair.
so maybe we'll go with that. He's still got some God power. Um, yeah. So then they have their goodbye scene,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole time, the whole movie, like Gamora doesn't know what Groot's saying, and then Groot comes up to her and says, "I'm Groot," and she's like, "Tell him I'll be there in a minute." And then she realizes she can understand him,
Mm-hmm.
and then he says, "I'm Groot" again, and then she says, "You know, it was really good working with you too," or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she's gonna go back with the Ravengers. Um, I like the way that Quill and her last scene were together, where they, like if there were gonna be a couple of more movies, like maybe you could see them getting back together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because it's the last one, you're like, okay, probably not. But
Yeah.
it's a good goodbye ending scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has to talk. He wants to tell everybody that he wants to go back to Earth. And then Mantis wants to go off on her own.
Yeah.
And
And then Nebula and Drax are gonna stay on Nowhere and try to rebuild everything.
yeah, they're gonna be in charge of Nowhere. And Rocket's gonna be the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the ending scenes, the Guardians is Rocket, Groot, Kraglin,
Mm-hmm. Cosmo.
Cosmo,
And
And
then
that
one
one
of
of
the little girls.
the little girl, the main little girl that they were talking to on the ship,
Yeah.
who looked like she was several years older now.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so it's just them. So that's interesting. But I
Yeah.
feel like I don't think they're gonna do any more. I don't think they have any plans to do any more Guardians movies. Um, and then the end scene or the end where Peter goes back home and finds his grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I don't know. I think it was a really good conclusion to. I think like like for me, it seems like a really good conclusion to Marvel.
Okay.
Like I could never watch another Marvel movie and be okay because
Oh,
all
that's
the
fair.
other all the main characters that they've built for like the first 15 years are gone.
Yeah.
Iron Man's gone. Um,
Captain
Captain
America.
America's gone. Thor's gone, and now the Guardians are gone.
Yeah. And Black Widow's gone.
Yeah, Black Widow's gone. I don't really care about her anyway. But yeah, all of the original like this, they were the last holdouts. They were the last original because they were Guardians was from Phase 1, right?
No, Guardians was phase 2.
Phase 2, and now they're in like
Yep.
Phase 5 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, when
But
did
yeah,
the first
phase 1
Guardian?
was just the first 2 Iron Man movies, the first Captain America, first Thor, and then the Avengers.
Okay. Um, Guardians came out in 2014, so that was 9 years ago. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a really good conclusion for everyone's storyline too, not just like some of the characters, but like every character, even some of the smaller ones, got you know like a goodbye scene.
Yeah.
I think so. It's kind of I don't know. It's kind of a weird, somber moment. You know.
Yeah, but it felt like a conclusion. It was a good end of the book.
Yeah, it's like you're sad because it's over, but it was also you're happy because everything is has come together in a good way, and everybody's alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the
Right.
Guardians are alive.
Except Yondu.
He wasn't really a Guardian.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean, he was Mary Poppins,
he's
so.
Guardian adjacent. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Like that's so dumb.
That was the best line out of that entire movie.
Is Mary Poppins a cool dude? Hell yeah, he's a cool dude.
Uh,
I'm Mary freaking Poppins, y'all. Anyway, yeah, that was probably the best line in that movie. I'll give you that. Um, yeah, so I think it's a really good conclusion. For the movie, for the trilogy, and for like the original Marvel cinematic universe, not
okay.
all this extra stuff they've tacked on, trying to build out the future. Did say Star-Lord would return. I'm
Uh-huh.
guessing I don't know what.
I don't know in what or
Secret
when.
Wars maybe.
Maybe.
And he is on Earth now, so he could show up in um anyone else's stuff.
Okay. I mean, yeah, if they know who he is.
What do you mean if they know who he is?
Like, most people on Earth would have no idea who Star-Lord is.
The Avengers know who he is.
Yeah, but who's left on the Avengers? Like, there's no one important left. I guess Nick Fury knows about him.
Fury, dude with the bow and arrow,
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye.
Yeah, he's not really that important.
He probably won't be back though.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Yeah, you're right, Dave. Everybody's gone.
Yep.
That's why I'm thinking. Like, that's why for me, I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that story is closed for me.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
that
think I'd
kind
ever
of sounds
need-
like final thoughts to me.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever need to watch another Marvel movie.
You have
do
anything
you
else to add to your final thoughts?
No, do you?
No, I mean, I think it was a solid movie. I liked it. And I agree. I feel like it was a great ending.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that, if you guys made it this far into the video, make sure to hit that like button if you liked it, subscribe if you wanna, and leave comments down below.
No, if you wanna, freaking subscribe. Hit the button. You got no good reasons not to hit the button. Hit the button.
Hit the button. And leave comments down below on what you want to see us review next.
Mondays, movie reviews, 6:30 Central. And Thursdays, we do a series review, also 6:30 Central most of the time. And leave some comments. Let us know what we should do next. And I guess if you suggest more Marvel movies, we might watch them. But if there's anything better, we would prefer to watch that. Right?
True story.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, we'll see y'all next time.